Welcome to the Quiet Path. This is a place where we step away from the noise, where we let go of the rush, and where we allow ourselves to simply be present with what is. Here, we explore stillness, the kind of calm that doesn't need to announce itself, and the quiet strength that comes from seeing clearly. If you found your way here, perhaps you're looking for something different from the constant motion of the world. Perhaps you're ready to walk more slowly. I'm glad you're here. Most people move through their days as if they're being chased. They wake up already behind, already thinking about what they need to do, what they've left undone, what's waiting for them later. They sit at breakfast, but they're not really there. They're somewhere ahead in time, rehearsing conversations that haven't happened yet, solving problems that may never arrive. Their bodies are in one place, but their minds are scattered across a dozen moments that don't exist. And they wonder why they feel exhausted by noon. Why nothing feels quite real, why even their rest doesn't restore them. The answer is simple, though not always easy to accept. They have never learned to be where they are. Presence is a skill, and most people never learn it. You might think presence is natural, something we're all born knowing how to do, and in a way you'd be right. A child watching rain on a window is completely there. A dog lying in a patch of sunlight is fully present. But somewhere along the way we lose this. We learn to worry. We learn to plan. We learn to live everywhere except the moment we're actually in. And we mistake this constant mental movement for productivity, for intelligence, for being responsible. We think that if we're not always ahead of ourselves, we'll fall behind. But the opposite is true. When we're never where we are, we miss everything. We miss the texture of our own lives. In Japanese thought, there's an understanding that the mind, when left untrained, becomes like a house with all its doors and windows open. The wind blows through without resistance, carrying dust and noise and everything that passes by. The mind fills with whatever the world offers it, moment by moment, without discrimination, without rest. This is what most people experience as normal. Thoughts arrive uninvited. Worries appear from nowhere. The mind jumps from one thing to another, and we follow along, believing we have no choice. But this is not the natural state of awareness. This is the untrained state. Presence is what happens when we close some of those doors, when we choose what we allow in, when we stop letting every passing thought pull us away from where we are. The absence of presence shows itself in small ways at first. You're reading a book, but you realize you've turned 3 pages without absorbing a single word. You're in a conversation with someone you care about, but you're not really listening because you're composing your next sentence before they've finished speaking. You eat a meal and barely taste it. You walk through your neighborhood and see nothing. These moments seem harmless, even trivial, but they add up. They become your life. You look back on weeks, months, years, and wonder where they went. Why you can't remember much, why it all feels like it passed through you without ever really touching you. This is the cost of never being present. Not dramatic, not sudden, but a slow erosion of the felt experience of being alive. People often confuse being busy with being present. They think that if they're doing something, if they're moving, if they're accomplishing tasks, then they must be engaged. But you can be busy and completely absent at the same time. You can fill every hour of your day and never once actually be there. Busyness is often a way of avoiding presence, a way of ensuring you never have to face the quiet, never have to sit with yourself, never have to notice what's actually happening beneath the surface. It's easier to keep moving, to keep the mind occupied, to always have something demanding your attention. Because when you stop, when you allow yourself to be still, you might notice things you've been avoiding. You might feel things you've been keeping at bay, and this, more than anything else, is why people resist presence. It asks something of you. It asks you to be with what is, not just with what you wish were different. Learning presence doesn't require you to change your life in dramatic ways. You don't need to retreat to a monastery or spend hours in meditation, though those things have their place. Presence begins much more simply. It begins with noticing when you're not present. You're washing dishes and you realize your mind is somewhere else entirely, replaying a conversation from yesterday, worrying about tomorrow. That moment of noticing, that's the beginning. You don't scold yourself. You don't try to force your mind to behave. You simply notice. And then, gently, You bring your attention back to the water, the soap, the movement of your hands. You do this once, you'll need to do it again 30 seconds later, and again. And again. This is the practice. Not achieving some permanent state of focus, but returning, over and over, to where you are. The mind resists this. It will tell you that what you're doing right now isn't important enough to deserve your full attention. It will tell you there are more pressing things to think about. It will offer you an endless stream of what-ifs and remember-whens and you shoulds. And all of this is the mind doing what an untrained mind does. It seeks stimulation. It seeks problems to solve. It seeks anything other than the simple, quiet reality of this moment, because this moment, when you're just washing dishes or just sitting or just breathing, doesn't offer the drama the mind craves. But this is precisely why being present with ordinary moments matters. Because if you can only be present when something extraordinary is happening, you'll spend most of your life absent. There's a difference between thinking about your life and being in your life. Thinking about your life happens at a distance. It's evaluative, comparative, always measuring how things are against how you think they should be. Being in your life is immediate, direct, unmediated by all that commentary. When you're present, you're not thinking about whether this moment is good or bad, whether you're doing it right, whether you should be somewhere else. You're just here, aware, responsive, alive to what's actually happening. This doesn't mean you stop planning or reflecting or learning from the past. It means you do those things when they're useful and then you come back. You don't live in planning mode. You don't live in reflection mode. You live here and you visit those other places when you need to. Most of the suffering people experience is not about what's happening in the present moment. It's about their thoughts regarding what's happening, their resistance to what is, their wish for things to be different. You're sitting in traffic. The present moment is just sitting, just being in a car, just the hum of the engine. But the mind says, this shouldn't be happening. You should be there already. This is wasted time. This is frustrating. And suddenly you're suffering, not because of the traffic, but because of your thoughts about the traffic. Presence doesn't make the traffic disappear, but it does dissolve the layer of resistance and complaint that turns a neutral situation into a source of stress. When you're present, you're in the traffic, yes, but you're not at war with it. You're just there, breathing, aware, not adding extra suffering on top of circumstances you can't control. People say they want peace, but they resist the very thing that would give it to them. Peace is not found in better circumstances. It's not waiting for you once you finish everything on your list, once you solve all your problems, once life finally arranges itself the way you think it should. Peace is available right now, in the midst of whatever is happening, but only if you're willing to be present with it. This is hard to accept because we've been taught to believe that peace comes from external conditions. We think we'll be peaceful when we're on vacation, when we're finished with this project, when this difficult period is over. But vacation ends, projects multiply, difficult periods give way to new challenges, and we're still waiting. Presence is the realization that you don't have to wait. You can be at peace with this moment, even if it's not the moment you would have chosen, because peace is not about the content of your experience. It's about your relationship to it. The practice of presence gradually changes how you experience time. When you're not present, time feels either too slow or too fast. When you're bored, when you're waiting, time drags. When you're busy, when you're caught up in doing, time races by. But when you're present, time feels different. Not slow, not fast, but full, sufficient, enough. You're not wishing the moment would hurry up and end. And you're not grasping at it, trying to make it stay. You're simply with it, for as long as it lasts. This changes everything, because when you're present, even ordinary moments become rich, even silence becomes nourishing, even stillness becomes enough. Anxiety lives in the future. Regret lives in the past. Presence lives here, now, in the only place where you actually have any power to respond, to choose, to act. When your mind is caught in loops of what if and what should have been, you feel helpless because you're trying to solve problems that aren't actually in front of you. But when you come back to presence, you find that most of what you're carrying isn't real. It's projection, it's memory, it's story. And beneath all of that, there's just this breath, this moment, this next step. That's all you ever really have to deal with. Not the next 10 years, not the argument from last week, just this. And this is almost always manageable, almost always something you can be with when you stop layering it with everything else. Learning presence also means learning what you don't need to carry. You don't need to hold on to every thought that passes through your mind. You don't need to follow every worry to its conclusion. You don't need to rehearse conversations or replay moments or build elaborate stories about what might happen. The mind will do all of this automatically if you let it, but you don't have to let it. You can notice the thought arising, acknowledge it, and let it pass without climbing aboard. This is not suppression. Suppression is pushing something down, trying to make it go away. Letting a thought pass is more like watching a cloud move across the sky. You see it, you don't deny it's there, but you don't grab onto it and follow it. You let it move through and you stay where you are. Presence is also presence with discomfort. Most of what we do to avoid being present is really about avoiding discomfort. We reach for our phones not because we need information, but because we feel restless, bored, anxious, and we want that feeling to go away. We fill our schedules not because everything we're doing is necessary, but because empty time feels uncomfortable. We keep the television on, the music playing, the notifications coming, because silence and stillness bring us face to face with whatever we've been avoiding. Presence asks you to stop running. It asks you to sit with the discomfort, to breathe through the restlessness, to allow the boredom or the anxiety or the sadness to be there without immediately trying to fix it or escape it. And when you do this, something shifts. The discomfort doesn't necessarily go away, but it stops controlling you. You realize you can be present even when things are uncomfortable, and this is a kind of freedom. The untrained mind wants constant novelty. It wants stimulation, distraction, something new. And modern life is designed to feed this hunger. Every moment can be filled with information, entertainment, interaction. There's always something to consume, something to check, something demanding attention. This makes presence harder, but also more necessary. Because if you only know how to be engaged when something exciting is happening, you become dependent on external stimulation. You lose the ability to be content with simplicity, with stillness, with the quiet pulse of ordinary life. Presence is the antidote to this dependency. It's the practice of finding depth in what's simple, of being fully alive even when nothing remarkable is happening. It's the understanding that you don't need the world to entertain you. You can be here, awake, attentive, interested in the smallest things if you slow down enough to notice them. When you practice presence, you also become more present with other people. This is not a small thing. Most conversations are not conversations. They're two people waiting for their turn to talk, or thinking about something else entirely, or half listening while checking their phones. But when you bring presence to your interactions, when you actually listen without planning your response, when you give someone your full attention even for just a few minutes, something changes. The other person feels it. They feel seen, heard, valued. And the connection deepens, becomes real in a way that distracted interaction never can. This is one of the great gifts of presence. It allows you to actually be with people, not just near them. There's also presence with yourself, which many people avoid most of all. It's easier to be busy, to stay in motion, to always be focused outward, because turning inward can be uncomfortable. You might notice loneliness, sadness, fear, or a vague dissatisfaction you haven't wanted to acknowledge. But presence with yourself is not about drowning in difficult emotions. It's about being willing to sit with them, to observe them without judgment, to let them be part of the landscape of your inner life without letting them dictate everything. When you can be present with your own emotions, when you can feel what you're feeling without immediately needing it to change, you become less reactive, less driven by unconscious avoidance. You gain the ability to choose your responses instead of being pulled around by whatever you're trying not to feel. Presence is also the foundation of any creative or skillful action. When you're fully present with what you're doing, whether it's cooking, writing, building something, or solving a problem, you have access to a quality of attention that fragmented focus can never provide. You notice details you would have missed. You respond to what's actually happening rather than operating on autopilot. You enter a state where the doing itself becomes absorbing, satisfying, complete. This is not about achieving some mystical flow state. It's simpler than that. It's just the natural result of giving your full attention to what's in front of you, of not dividing yourself between what you're doing and what you're thinking about doing, or should be doing, or will do next. As you develop this skill, you begin to notice how much of what you thought was necessary isn't. You don't need to carry your entire to-do list in your head while you're eating breakfast. You don't need to solve tomorrow's problems today. You don't need to hold on to yesterday's conversation and turn it over and over in your mind. All of that creates a kind of background noise, a constant static that drains your energy and clouds your experience. Presence clears the static. It lets you focus on what's actually relevant right now and set down everything else, at least for this moment. And when you do this consistently, you find you have more energy, more clarity, more capacity to meet whatever actually needs your attention. The practice is gentle but persistent. You won't master it in a week, a month, or even a year. You'll spend your whole life returning to presence, because the mind will always wander, will always generate distraction, will always pull you into past and future. That's what minds do. Presence is not about stopping this, it's about noticing it and returning again and again, without frustration, without judgment, just a quiet return. Like coming home. And each time you return, you strengthen the capacity. You make it a little easier to notice when you've drifted, a little more natural to come back. Over time, presence becomes less effortful, less something you have to remember to do, and more a quality of how you inhabit your life. This doesn't mean you become passive, or stop planning, or stop learning from experience. Presence includes all of that, but it means you do those things consciously, when they're needed, and then you come back to now. You don't live in planning mode. You plan, and then you return. You don't live in analysis mode. You reflect, learn, and then you return. You don't mistake constant mental activity for engagement with life. You recognize that much of what the mind does is unnecessary, and you gently disengage from it, over and over, as many times as needed. This is the work. Simple, but not easy. Ordinary, but transformative. The world will not support this practice. Everything around you is designed to fragment your attention, to keep you moving, to make you feel like you should be somewhere else, doing something else, being someone else. The practice of presence is countercultural in this way. It's a quiet rebellion against the demand for constant productivity, constant consumption, constant motion. It's a refusal to let your life be reduced to a series of tasks and distractions. It's a choice to actually be here, to inhabit your moments, to feel your life as you live it, rather than thinking about it later and wondering where it went. If any of this resonates with you, if you felt the exhaustion of never quite being where you are, if you're ready to learn this skill that most people never learn, I invite you to simply begin, not with some grand commitment, not with a complete overhaul of your life, but with one moment, this moment. Notice where you are. Feel your breath. Let your attention settle here, just for a few seconds. That's all. And then, when you drift, as you will, come back. Do this throughout your day, not as a chore, but as a gift you give yourself. The gift of being present with your own life. Over time, you'll find this changes everything. Not because your circumstances change, but because you're finally here to experience them. If you found something valuable in this reflection, if it gave you a moment of stillness or a new way of seeing, I'd be grateful if you'd take a moment to like this video and subscribe to The Quiet Path. This channel is a space for these kinds of reflections, for slowing down, for exploring what it means to live with presence and quiet strength. There's no rush here, no urgency, just an invitation to walk this path together, to remind each other that there's another way to move through the world. Walk slowly. See clearly. I'll see you again on The Quiet Path.